Hi everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Amazon Ads Canvas. Amazon Ads Canvas is a thought leadership forum where we invite leaders from the industry and hear about how they have forayed into the digital world. The topic for today's discussion is reinventing to build a successful D2C brand. My name is Shankar Rao and I head ads sales for Amazon India. We have with us today Bhavna, who is the founder of 10 Club. 10 Club is a company which is gaining significant market share in the house and household categories in the Indian ecosystem. Welcome, Bhavna. Thanks for taking the time out. Great having you here and looking forward to our conversation today.
Thanks for having me. Very excited about sharing this space with a fellow Ramaya person.
So 10 Club started as a brand aggregator, and over the past of 18 months, we've transitioned into a brand house architecture. So can you tell us a little bit more about the transition, the story behind it, and what are some of the factors which influenced the strategic pivot?
I'm going to keep it simple.
Good.
One, and I think I've publicly gone and said this when we were just starting off, right? We're not a house of brands. We never intended to be a house of brands. I think it was the flavor of the season. We were a roll up business. A roll up business was almost like a quasi private equity play where we acquired an existing business function. A lot of other people acquired brands. We acquired distribution. So we did a few things differently. We actually never acquired a single brand. We worked and kind of acquired sellers only on Amazon. That was our first step. And it was from the logic of distribution,
Right.
right? We're 3.5 years in. We've not spent a single rupee on brand yet for this very reason. We've taken that distribution. I think we picked what we wanted. The choice at that point was whether we would build multiple different brands, which I think was a large opportunity.
Right.
Very quickly, we realized building one solid brand for India is going to be a much larger outcome and will be focused. So I think that was the choice that we made.
Right.
Multi-brand when we were ready to build brand or single. So today we're very clear we're one single brand.
Okay.
10clubhomes.com.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a single brand identity with the ethos and intention being the same that we set out from day one.
Right. Cool, Bhavna. Thanks for sharing. And just building on that point, you spoke about how you're selective about which brands you pick up, which products you picked up, right? So 10 Club today builds products for categories across home, garden, kitchen, right? Could you tell us how you identified which gaps these products are kind of bridging in the market? That would be great to hear.
So I'll kind of set out and say why home. I think that's an important statement to make, right? And I kind of keep it very simple, at least the way we look at it and how we think about it. 2020, 2021, when we were just starting off, at least the clear hypothesis was home is one of the most fragmented last categories left in the market. While fashion, I think, is having its epitome and its stage right now, it's taken it a while to get to where it is. I think beauty kind of started off in 2015, 2016, and you can start seeing the peak. I think there are very clear consumer patterns that follow, right? So the opportunity was very clear that people now care about the home that they live in. I think it's a reflection of your personality, a reflection of everything else that you do. But even within home, there is, if you look at players who've come into the market a few years ago, 5, 6 years ago, it was about when you buy a fresh house, how do you do the interior work for it? So it's a services led, large ticket item. I think when you go to the next level, it is appliances. People spend and care deeply about brand when it comes to appliances. Um, then comes furniture. I think for us, we kind of looked through all of this and we said, okay, but then there is home accessories, which is everything else that goes into making your house a home. That just is deeply disrupted, deeply unorganized, no brands really. And if there are brands that your parents potentially bought from. So I think that was a massive opportunity that stared at us, saying, how do you take home accessories and how do you kind of organize it? And when I say home accessories, I mean everything else that I did not name on top, right? And that's the opportunity we looked at, saying, okay, great. How do you kind of start organizing this market? And very early, I think a lot of us make this mistake of cut, copy, paste category to category, but categories are so different. You can't, we're a multi SKU category, right? If I went into the market with 3 products or 5 products, which is the logical thinking that you take with beauty and stuff, less SKUs, go deep, it would just never work. It's just logically not possible in our category. People care about options and choice, and they need to skim through. So I think those were the difficulties of this category. And if you look back a decade, people who struggle to build anything in the home category, again, unlike fashion and beauty, it's a high volumetric category. There's breakage, there are different materials. So the back end of this is so complex that if you start telling a story and if you start marketing before you fix all of this, you're going to get into deep trouble. So I think it became very clear that to build a brand or to build a consumer business anywhere in the world, the most generic things that you have to look at is product, your hardcore back end of how you're going to logistically manage all of this in our category, especially, and then the story that you tell and what are you trying to offer, right? I think people try doing all three together, and maybe the execution operation part is an afterthought after once scale kicks in. In our case, it could not have been.
Right.
So we actually took the reverse approach, and I think any normal person who's done retail before would not do it. In my case, it was just ignorance and bliss, I think, where I was like, I'm going to try this, where we're going to fix operations and try distribution first. And that's why we started off as a roll up.
Yeah.
When we look to answer your question now, if you look at a person's house, you generally divide it based on rooms, right? The core 3 rooms in a house are living, kitchen from a utility point of view, and your bedroom. Now, the way India uses these 3 rooms are very different. But that's the logic that we went with in 2021. We actually acquired rooms. We did not find solutions for the living room, kitchen, and bedroom. It was very broken. The first business that we bought was one of Amazon's oldest and largest garden players, right? The same logic was applied to the baby room, and the next one was home fitness. These are 3 new functions in everybody's new modular modern home and had the highest CAGR from a growth point of view. So we bought those.
Right.
We learned, made our mistakes, messed up. I laugh because you say few SKUs. Day one of our operations, we bought these businesses out 100%. Right? They were not brands; they were labels. We had 10,000 SKUs that we acquired. We needed to learn what they were and then pick our winners. And I think that's our journey. Once we picked 200 SKUs out of the 10,000. So it was a little bit more about saying what I don't want. The minute we understood what we wanted to keep in these 3 auxiliary rooms, by then we'd been put through the test of fire. And we knew launching would become more exciting. So we took the bet of saying living kitchen, uh, living for us is decor, kitchen for us is kitchen accessories and serveware. And bed, we do very little where we do bedding. And those are the core categories that we incubated. So I think that's the logic. We have 3 old and mature garden, baby room, home fitness that we learned from. And I think are standard categories, market leaders today on Amazon. The 3 are we're fledglings and we're taking the learnings from there and launching from zero.
Okay. Nice. So you spoke about the different nuances of the home
Yeah.
category, right? And how it's so fragmented. And you obviously have a lot of products that you're selling to consumers. Just want to understand your positioning, right? Given obviously Time Club has a lot of different products in its portfolio. How do you position the different products across the portfolio? And very interesting observation that you're not spending too much on upper funnel branding, right? So what is your view on that? How are you building your brand?
Yeah. So I think branding is extremely important. It is what is important, the story that you tell and who comes to you and why. Uh, but like I said, in our category, we took a very conscious decision of, I think this category is evolving. I think as a brand, we've not started from zero, or a business, we've not started from zero. We acquired everybody else's thoughts and then we were funneling it down to what we want. I think that stage is done of now we're very clear what we want.
Right.
We launched our brand position, at least our first look visual position, about 7 months ago.
Right.
And in that process, I met a bunch of people. I was talking to a lot of people. And something stuck with me really strongly where they said, the brands that have built over the test of time in India are not the ones that are constantly saying something to a specific target audience, because that's come with the rise of digital media, right? Your target audience and really going narrow. From a brand point of view, I think what I got told is you need to be very sure of who you are and what you are,
Right.
and you need to be screaming it from the top of a mountain.
Right.
And you should be open to anybody coming to you. And I think that's our philosophy of brand, saying we've been on our journey of saying we're getting the nuance of what our product is because we have 1,200 products today. I think who we talk to doesn't matter.
Right.
So I think the answer here is we're going to only start branding and marketing when we are very sure who we are, 100%, and then we're going to scream it. And then we're open for everybody to come.
Over there. Since it's building on that point, again, interesting observation. Most brands try to target a specific persona of a customer, right?
Yeah.
So 10 Club, does it have an ideal persona customer that they're targeting? Or is it more generic?
I mean, patterns are evolving by itself, right? We opened a store 3 months ago. The few times that I go there, I feel like as humans, we're so predictable. Sometimes it's scary. Um, you can you watch the same set of people gravitate, right?
Right.
People do come in and they observe and they skim through, but it is usually a family with a young kid. It is usually the woman who wants to spend the most amount of time in our store. Usually the man gets attracted to like a kitchen accessory that's functional, whereas the woman's going to like a children's section of lunchboxes is the trigger. Then, so there are very clear patterns that kind of play out. But so I think we will have personas and we will have explanations. And I guess from a bang for your buck, you have to talk to these people. And of course, that's business. But I think for us, we would always want to be a brand that says, well, welcome to anybody, right? Why should a student who's 18 years old, not going away to college and setting up their first room, come to us? Or a 70-year-old empty nester who's redoing their house because they want to refresh. So I think everybody will come, and I hope we will be the brand that caters to everybody.
Thanks. So speaking of patterns, right? One big advantage of digital advertising and being in the digital world is obviously a lot of data availability, right? So could you give us some examples of how 10 Club has leveraged patterns, insights, data to identify a business opportunity?
Yeah.
And would love to hear some specific examples.
I think the intent was always to be extremely data driven. Everything is backed by data and understood. And lessons learned, again, very, very hard because in a business such as this, there can be a leakage at every point, and you can just lose money and not realize it for a really long time. I think today where we are is we understand our unit economics to the T for every SKU.
Right.
Um, we're building the structures to enable this to be better. I think it starts there, right? You need to understand every line item of what your SKU is, what's making money, what's not making money. Is there elasticity somewhere for you to play with price? Not. That's a pure business point of view. We've just, like I said, we have 3 core channels. We have marketplaces, we have website, and we have our store. The beauty of the times that we live in right now is the same customer is going to shop across the 3 channels. And in our case, we have that complexity along with the number of SKUs because the customer is not coming back to buy the same product from us. The customer is coming to buy our lifetime value is going to come from them kind of buying different categories, different products.
Right.
So I think for us, it's a simple business if you get some of your foundational structures right and data is at the core of it, because we will never know the same customer coming to buy from us unless we track all of this. And it's extremely deeply important for us that somebody who bought a pot from us, when there is a need to buy a candle, will buy it from us. Or when there is a need for them to kind of go buy a dumbbell for their home, will buy it from us. And understanding that only data enables something like that.
Right. Cool. Thanks, Anna. I was talking to you offline as well, and you obviously have very ambitious plans of growing 10x very soon. So if you can just shed some light on what are the key initiatives that you see will help you get there.
I think I'm going to grow 100x,
Okay.
not 10x, and not very soon. I think for us, every channel has a different hook and a pull, right? And like I was telling you, we started with Amazon. We started at buying 100% Amazon businesses only because we truly believe that um, in a business like ours, there is utility and then there is aesthetic, right? Aesthetic is where we believe we can control the narrative to a large
Right.
point. No one's coming. But from a utilitarian point of view, the world is shopping where they are, right? It's not about breaking through the clutter for a utilitarian product, right? It is about being present. And we think that's the core of our play, which is for us, it is not that somebody says, hey, I want to buy a ladle, so I'm going to buy it from 10 Club only. It's not going to happen. It is that we need to be present when the need arises. And I think that's going to come from ads, of course. I think that's going to come from being organically present, but also being present, so that when somebody's need comes in. So I think that's the way we play it. I think on marketplaces, it's going to be finding the right mix of being available when the customer needs you. It is 95% of our business today and continues to be. I don't think this is dramatically going to change over the years. But I think for me, 30-40% of our 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 crore business is always going to come from a lion's share of that being marketplaces. And I think there's only one logic to being present here, right? You need to find your winning products. You need to make sure that those winning products are presented to the customer. And yeah, we can live in a little bit of our bubble of saying just organic. It's never going to happen. I think running ads right is going to be the only approach for you to kind of be present and be on top of mind of anybody's
Okay,
purchase plan.
right. Being close to the customer is obviously very important. And you're also launching offline stores, Bhavna. So how do you see the offline and online interplay, and how do the unit economics differ, and how do you view offline play?
See, I think the complexity with act is when I say we have different categories, I don't mean subcategories, right? I mean seriously different categories, right? But it's all necessary to be there from a home point of view. I think where we want to be is if anybody wants anything for their house, they should want to come to 10 Club to purchase. And that's a never ending proposition of sorts, right? Um, I think, like I said, online and offline have a mix of, we're not a category where somebody does deep research, right? So I think even that logic of people researching online to buy offline does not work for us. We're an extremely need based or impulse based buy. So for us, being present is very important. The pitfall of what people have done in the past is being present is going into multiple cities and multiple. I think for us, concentrated presence makes it very exciting. So today we're on all marketplaces. We have our own store and website. For us, like I said, the idea is different categories. People come and purchase at different points. The person who's buying our kitchen utility items on Amazon has walked into our store at the mall and has said, "Oh, I bought this." Will not remember our name, but we've also not done any branding. But he said, "Oh, I bought this." And I think those connections are starting to happen where that person may not buy a decor item on Amazon, but in our store will come and drop 5,000 rupees without a question and say, "Hey, I like your quality." Right. So the next time I buy on Amazon, I will feel okay. And I think that's the role online and offline play today. And I think as life evolves over the next decade, this is going to get even more intertwined.
So we'll jump on to the last question, Bhavna. Many brands face a lot of challenges in pivoting, like you have done successfully, right? So any advice for brands looking to kind of change their business strategy, like you have done successfully?
So again, pivot for me it was hard. It was I still don't think we're fully out of it. Where uh like I said, I think the hard stance that we took and the kind of crazy things that we did. We're a very small team. We're 42 people in total. Um, so I do think people are still recovering from what we did. Um, but I think the change here was this, right? We got lots of SKUs. We had to cut, and people talk about Pareto and stuff. We did Pareto in less than 100 days, and we cut 98% of our portfolio. So it was, if it had gone wrong, we could have blown it all up.
Right.
But I think my advice would be, I mean, 20 people are going to say 20 things, right? I heard advice from everybody on everything. I listened, but I did what I wanted to. And I think pivoting change is all difficult. Yeah. So I think the answer is if you're very clear and if you're ready that it may blow up and you've made peace with it, then I don't think you need to listen to anybody else. You just know.
Okay, cool. Cool, Dana. Thanks for sharing these valuable insights. I'm
Thank
sure our audience would have learned a lot. Thanks for coming here again. I'm wishing you all the best. Hope the 100x happens soon.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Bhavna.
Yeah.